All right, we're live then. Welcome everybody to the March 19, 2024 City Council meeting. This is the best crowd we've had in a while, and I recognize most of you as friendly faces, so I'm not as nervous as I might be if it was a lot of people out there looking that I didn't know. Now, don't fool me. Don't y'all cross me up, okay? But anyway, it's good to see everybody, and hope you've had a good first day of spring. If you bow with me, we'll have a word of prayer and then we'll get into our meeting. Our Father in heaven, we're thankful again for an opportunity to gather together with our friends and fellow citizens here in Watertown and roundabout. We pray a blessing on them. We pray a blessing on these council people who give willingly of their time to serve their community. Pray that you'll be with their families. We pray that you'll be with our police officers and fire personnel, the emergency personnel, everybody that responds to emergencies. We pray that you'll be with them and their families. Now, we ask that you continue to bless this community and go with us and forgive us of our sins. Amen. All right, got some minutes from February 20th. Because of leap day, it would almost been a month. But
make a motion to approve.
Second.
any discussion on the minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? I should have said to start, we do have a quorum, and Laura is dealing with, well, she won't mind us saying, her daughter's playing softball in Jackson County. She's a senior and she wanted to see the game, and I don't blame her. So you only get so many of those opportunities. All right, this is that portion of the meeting where we have public business and comment. So if you're here and you want to address us, you are more than welcome to do so at this time. Yep, jump up, girls. Come on up.
Push the button to turn the microphone on.
Is it green?
Yep. Is it lighting up green?
You may want to check on it, John. We'll be able to hear you, but we want everybody out there in the world to be able to hear you. No pressure, okay? We'll be on YouTube, and you can go back and watch it yourself. Critique yourself. We out of batteries?
It's dead, I believe. You can just turn this on.
All right.
It's green now.
Well, never mind then.
Is it working now? Okay, well, good. All right. Tell us your name and...
I'm Audrey Klein.
I'm Carly Marie. And I'm Kinley Green.
Okay.
We're Girl Scouts from Troop 903, and we're working on our Silver Award. A Silver Award is the second highest award a Girl Scout can earn. To achieve this award, the Girl Scout must address a community issue and show leadership by involving volunteers in a community work day. The project should result in long-term benefits for the community. The girls can fundraise or ask for donations of materials or supplies, but they cannot ask for donations of money.
Our Silver Award is a Gaga ball pit. This is a 15 to 20 foot octagon that can be moved from place to place. Materials that we need will either be bought by us or donated to us by others. We will need volunteers, and we will need one community day to build this Gaga ball pit.
Need one what?
Community day.
Okay.
Gaga ball rules and how to play is really simple and easy to play. It's a fun game that can get your kids active and outside. Essentially, it's a form of dodgeball that's played in an enclosed arena, such as a pit or an octagonal ring. The objective is to hit other players' knees and below to get them out. It's a good way to exercise and socialize with friends.
And you want us to, what's your request?
And our request is for you to allow us to build it over in the behind the park.
Okay. And this is a Girl Scout troop project. Tell us your troop number, by the way.
Our troop number is 903.
903. And you want to do this as a community project?
Yes,
for the
sir.
city of Watertown. We appreciate that.
And I assume when you say behind the park, you're talking on the other side of the creek? Is that where, or?
We were thinking near the playground where the sandbox used to be.
Okay.
Roughly.
All right.
And you said this is movable, the
Yes.
octagon?
It will not be.
Would it need to be put up at night? Or it can stay out in the weather?
Yes, it can. It's
Okay.
it can be made out of, it's a wood octagon.
Okay. Would it be fastened down so that nobody could come and take it?
We could or we could not.
Okay.
It's depending if you want it to be movable.
Okay. I'm just thinking about, not everybody enjoys the things that we try to do. Some people
Yeah.
don't take care of them as good as others. So,
It will
okay.
be movable to that extent.
Okay. Questions?
One piece. These are 3 pages and you just pass them. Just take that. Here, take that one.
Who's it?
Here, pass it.
Yeah, you're fine. We're
You
pretty
put one on this
informed.
side, one, yeah.
No need to be afraid of us. We're
Put one
on
on
it.
this side.
Thank you. Okay. And you say you try to hit people below, in the legs, below the waist? Did I hear that?
Yeah, knees and below.
Okay. Now, I've been in some of these games when I was a younger person. I don't think anybody ever threw at my legs. Okay. Let me say this. It takes courage for y'all to come up here and stand in front of a group of people that you don't know and people behind you. So that in itself is a credit to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Y'all have questions, comments? So you need us to pass a motion to allow you to do this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Will you have it up by tomorrow night? I'm just kidding. Thursday will be fine. I'm still kidding.
I make a motion we approve.
Any discussion?
Do we need to have City Bob determine the proper location for
Yes,
this?
and we'll get him to
Yeah.
provide some technical assistance too. And, but it'll be your project. But if you run into a snag, we'll be glad to help. You're benefiting the whole community by doing this, so. All right, other questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Go forth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you need it back? Okay. All right.
You got it back.
Okay. I don't know that I've ever heard of Gaga Ball. Has anybody here ever heard of it? Do they?
I'm gonna
So
say,
it'll be, they'll gather over here and play. That'll be great. That'll be great. Yep. And you know where they are if they're over here? Thank y'all so much. You're welcome to stay. It's not always as exciting, so, but if you'd like to stay, you can.
We have 4-H to get to now.
Okay. All right. Hey, girl, I
Thank
didn't
you.
see you sitting back there.
One of them's mine.
Well, it's good to see everybody, and thank you for coming out.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
We'll look forward to just, when, I don't know, we may put all the council in there and let them throw at each other, and I'll referee. Anybody else on public business? Come on up.
Thank you.
Good.
Thomas, Chamber President this year.
Proprietor of the event room.
Yes, yes. Tonight I'm here for the chamber.
Okay,
So this is just have the train schedule for this year, the excursion train schedule coming up to Nashville. Mike, I know you've already seen it. Know about
yeah,
this,
it's
but-
coming out, they're coming out Monday, Saturday, aren't
Saturday,
they? Yeah,
they
472 people.
A little short this time. We normally have like 505.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to get the train schedule in front of you guys, and also kind of talk about the closing of the square for some of these events. So obviously we don't close the square down for all of the trains that come in, but we have some bigger ones coming, that we may want to talk about it because of the safety issues. First one obviously is the Mile and Yard Sale, which we always close the square and Main Street down for that. I've had a couple of businesses ask if we can extend the closing of the square all the way to Commerce on the East Main side, just because of safety issues, cars trying to pull up that way. So The first one is extending the closing of the square all the way to Commerce for the Mile Yard Sale. The second one we have on here, April 20th, that is actually a memorial car show that a couple of people are trying to put together for Jake Harris. So we're expecting to have 50 to 60 cars come in town. That's kind of big for us to try to do it in the bank parking lot. So extending it to the square proper would help us, one, bring out more people, two, be able to fit all of the cars there on the square, and the train that's coming in. So with that many people trying to wander around the square for safety issues, closing down just the back side of the square is what our request is. The other dates on here, July 20th, which is what would have been the Jazz Festival. We are still going to try to do a smaller music festival. Obviously not the Jazz Festival, but the train is still expecting a music festival. So the chamber is going to try to put one together that's a little bit smaller. So July 20th, which is the same day we would normally close it for the Jazz Festival, would be a regular music festival. August 31st is the Bluegrass Festival, which normally the back side of the square is closed for that. And then the following ones.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I've got a couple concerns.
Yes,
You said on the first one, closing the square all the way to Commerce,
the Mile Long Yard Sale.
or but all the way down, for the yard sale, all the way down to Commerce.
That's what they've requested, the businesses.
And Chief Hinderlight's not here, I'm not sure if some of the officers can respond. I believe that if we go beyond Pearl Street, you potentially are creating a safety hazard, because if you close it down to Commerce, there's no way to get out to 70. And
More importantly, is for the fire department and the police to get in.
exactly, and it inhibits their ability to get in if they need to go down Commerce. So,
It may not be workable.
That's fine. So
Well-
one of the businesses that are down that way asked that the chamber request that, and I respect the decision to not close it that far.
my recommendation was close it down to Pearl and not go beyond
Right.
the hardware store and the Mexican restaurant.
Which is what
We
we've
have
normally
a
done.
standing policy here that we close the square for the 2 yard sales. We voted on that years ago. So we don't need to we don't have to vote on that one, but unless we modify what we're gonna close. But I think they close it down to,
Do they close it down?
We close it down to Pearl.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, well,
all right.
well, then
That's
I
our
would be
standard.
opposed to going all the way to Commerce just due to
Yeah,
the
it's probably not
safety
workable.
issue.
Respect that fully.
Okay, so the yard sales are approved.
Yes.
You've got the 2 dates, so everybody knows
Yes,
in advance.
just so we're aware.
The next Saturday, tell me a little bit more about that. What are the hours?
It is, right now, it is 10 to 3. Now, the train typically gets here between 11 and 1, just kind of depends. This event is going to bring more people in than just the train, which is what my concern is. The 500 people getting off the train and coming into town, we kind of manage that well right now without having to close the square down. But we have another 250, 300 people coming into Watertown for that car show. I'm just concerned about where are these people going to be and what's going to happen if we don't close the square down. Our other option would be to move it to the park, which obviously is a little bit bigger, would make a little more sense, but then we're alienating the trained people. They really can't get over there, so I'm just kind of stuck here as to what would be best.
The whole purpose for bringing them in is hopefully they'll spend money over there.
On the square, yes,
They
sir.
won't spend anything over here.
Well, you'd also be into baseball, Little League season
Will be.
at that late.
Potentially on Saturday if it make up games. Is that right? We're using Saturday to make up games?
We've already got some things planned on Saturdays too.
Okay.
And some tournaments.
But my only concern is how does it affect the merchants who rely upon the Saturday trade? That's a big day for them, and I don't know how they're gonna feel about that. I'm okay if everybody else is, but I don't wanna get in the middle of a conflict.
Back to back Saturdays, it's gonna hard on them.
Yeah,
Yes, I've had multiple people have been displeased about
Oh, for sure.
square closed at any time, but
Well, everybody, like I say, on the yard sale, everybody's pretty much gotten used to
Yes.
that because we do it and been doing it for about 25 years now, but that next one may be a problem.
Okay,
If you can work around, use the church parking lot or something like that.
we
Leave
can
the
try
square
that
open.
for sure.
Okay.
We can try that.
Hope you understand, but we,
Oh, no, I do.
I got in the middle of one of those one time and
I
I
do.
was out of town and my phone was ringing. People weren't happy and I'm thinking.
Oh, yes, no, I do. I'm
Never
just, I'm
again.
putting in the request for others, so no, I fully
Yeah,
understand.
I would-
My feelings will not be hurt at all.
Okay. Well, we
Okay.
appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, one other suggestion I would make is, I know with the Jazz Festival last year, they put the food trucks over beside the sign company in that grass field. You could
Yes.
potentially use that for your overflow cars.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that might be a better option, because it would just be across the street from the bank parking lot.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the last time we had a big car show on the square was before my time, but I think that's what they did do.
yeah.
I have something I want you to hear, so you can discuss it with the chamber in future months. It's not imminent or
Sure.
anything like that, but in trying to get this turntable project funded, we had a Zoom meeting, today's Tuesday, one day last week, with the Commissioner of Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Commissioner of Tourism.
Nice.
Both of them had their Assistant Commissioner of Tourism for Wilson County was there, and the TDOT Commissioner's right-hand person was there. We met for over an hour, which is kind of unreal when you're meeting with commissioners. They usually give you about 30 minutes. By the time they enter and exit, there's not a lot that goes on. They were very interested in what we're trying to do. But the commissioner, I'll get to my point. The Commissioner of Tourism doesn't have a lot of money to put things in the ground, but he does have money to help promote and that. But he's told us basically, I'm looking for something that increases the sales tax in your community. He said hotel motel tax, not a whole lot we can do there unless somebody wants to build one. But he's willing to do that, but he wants us to show how it will be an economic benefit. In other words, they do the cost benefit. I'll put some money in it if you get some money out. And the state, of course, gets a portion of the sales tax. So one of the things we talked about was the potential for more excursion trains. And I don't know how the merchants would feel about that, but I'm gonna meet with Terry Bebout and then Grant Cheney of the R.J. Corman company. They don't know it yet, but we're gonna meet when it's convenient to them. And I'm gonna talk to them and find out what the outside window is of the number of times they could make the tracks available and whatever, because we need that money.
We
We
do.
need that money, and it's good for the merchants if
It is.
if people will come in here and spend money.
We also need to make sure that there's enough for people to do when they get off the train. That
Yep.
has been one of the biggest issues with bringing the train to Watertown. I mean, I've only been part of the chamber for a year and a couple of months, but before that, if you read some of the reviews that we get when people arrive in town, they're very upset because we don't have anything for them to do, which is why the chamber's been trying to kind of put together small vendor events and bring food trucks in and stuff, just to try to make sure that when they get off the train, we have things for them to do. So bring in more trains, that would be great, as long as we can ensure that there's places for them to go and things for them to do.
Commissioner Ezell was shocked that we don't get any money off the train. And I said, we never have. But he was shocked. that
Not
we-
for lack of trying.
So-
I think every president before me has had that conversation with Terry.
And I've had it many times, and sometimes a tough conversation.
Yes.
But one thing that was suggested in the meeting, and I don't remember who suggested it, but we talked about if they could sell their tickets in Wilson County, if they could sell them here in Watertown, to where the site us is here, we would get sales tax. Right now, they're selling them in Davidson County. That's a possibility, but I don't know how Terry would feel about that, because they've been doing the same thing for 25 or 30 years, so he,
Right.
you know, change is slow. People don't like change. I'm gonna talk to him about that. My whole point in bringing it up while you were there, Randy, is just if you'll talk to all the people and tell them we're looking at that. And if that's not something we wanna do, then it's not worth exploring, but I'll have to look
Yeah.
other places for money, so.
And I think as long as as long as the few businesses that are not retail, their patrons still have access to their buildings,
Yeah.
to their services. I think that they'll all agree with that. It will not be a problem.
Yeah, and a little bit of history, these people here get tired of listening to me every month, I always go back in time. But when the excursion train started coming here, there wasn't anything on the square. There wasn't hardly anything. And some of these people rode up on the train and they said, we're coming back. Some of them came back to visit, some of them came back to put in small businesses. And we slowly but surely built the square back up. There's some people here tonight that have made a major investment in their business. And people have done that, but that train jump-started. So I'm partial to that train. If we hadn't had that, Watertown at one time for a few months looked like a ghost town.
Oh, and I've been fighting for more trains too. I mean, I finally got a Christmas train to come back. We haven't had one for 3 years.
Yeah,
But we got one this year, so I fought for that.
good. Well, we've kept you standing there a long time, but I wanted you to know that. And
So
I
we're
was gonna
good for
share it
both
with
yard
them later.
sales.
Do what?
We're already good for both yard sales.
Yeah,
Then we just have the 2 music festivals to
yeah.
discuss.
Come
whether-
back to us later on when you get a little closer to know what you're gonna do, and your hours and stuff.
All right, sounds good.
Mike, before we chip, it's wine tasting here on all this.
Uh-huh.
Where is that gonna be done?
That's a train that Delmonico Winery, they pay to bring that train into
They
town.
sponsor that train.
Yeah.
Well, it's the, we went through this before some time ago. If what we request that they not walk around town with a glass of wine or glass of whatever in their
Yep.
hand,
Yes,
down the streets.
yes. And
I
that will
mean,
be,
wine testing, if they want to test, all they want to is as long as it's not out in,
yes. And that would be something that we would need to have a conversation with Delmonico
Yep.
and other, again, just to make sure that they're enforcing that.
Yeah, we
Because I
had
know
this-
it's been an issue.
Just-
we had
just
this
the
come
rest
up
of us too.
before,
Yeah.
and we sort of request that
Yeah.
they don't do that.
We had a problem the first time or two, and then it kind of got settled down.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thanks for
Any
your
other
time,
questions?
everyone.
Comment?
Any questions for me?
Yep.
Chamber, anything else?
Brent, I do
Yes,
have one
sir.
comment. You had mentioned possibly closing the square for the 2 smaller music festivals.
Yes,
We did not close the square last year for the jazz festival.
we closed the backside of the
You
square.
closed the backside.
Right, which is all
Right.
I'm asking for.
Okay, I
Main
wanted-
Street, I don't want to close Main Street ever, other than obviously yard sale.
Right.
But when I say close the square, I apologize,
Okay.
just the backside,
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anything else, guys?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else want to address us? Okay, I'll,
Wait a minute, I know we got.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Come up. I didn't see you. I
Okay,
apologize.
that's okay. I'm just here to get some mercy, I guess. My brother, Timothy Price, I usually take care of him because he's kind of disabled. And his water busted, and I didn't know it. And they didn't have a phone number for him, I don't guess, because at the city or whatever. But he didn't hear well, and Bobby come and knocked on the door. Couldn't get him to answer because he can't hear. He's way back in the bedroom. And so the water bill got really high, like $2,000, and then another, it kept running evidently and got more. So I'm just, he don't,
Bill.
yeah, he doesn't, he draws like $980 a month to live on. So I'm just trying to find a way, maybe he could pay a little bit a month or,
You've been paying his water bill, haven't you?
Yeah.
You might be,
yeah, I do.
I hope.
I take care of all of it for him.
Well, I wasn't trying to go there, but I know you're being asked to pay something that's not your,
Right.
other than your love for your brother. We've got the adjustment policy, at least for right now, but it hadn't helped her a whole lot. And that bill, what is it, April, with the new one coming out? It's up around $3,000 now?
Yeah, last month it was 135,000 gallons, this month is 88,000. The bill for last month was 1944.24. After adjustment, it went down to 977.02, and then she went ahead and paid a minimum bill that she always pays.
Okay.
So that balance is at 942.35. The new bill has went out, which that does not have an adjustment on it yet. So the balance is 258061 without the second adjustment.
Okay, this is kind of, it's not kind of, it is an unusual situation. You didn't know there was a leak. As soon as you
I had no
found out,
idea.
Your husband fixed it.
He fixed it the next day, yes.
Which is what we ask. If we, when people call in and say something's wrong, we got a leak, if they get it fixed, then we put our policy in place. Now, our policy's not gonna help her a whole lot. She's already gotten the benefit of that, so I'm open for suggestions as to, or maybe how the council feels about this. We're gonna, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 months, fix this. You know, we talked about it last time, but
We don't have that in place.
we don't have that in place and probably won't for another 60 days, Steve.
Okay.
So, you know, I guess somebody here mentioned last time, the water that leaks out doesn't go into the sewer system. So do we want to give some break there? We possibly could, well, that might be where we want to give, if you are the mind to do that. I think we need to,
We gotta remove the sewer off of that, for sure. I mean, just
Yeah.
normal sewer bill should be averages.
Right, that should cut it about half,
It'll cut it almost half.
almost half.
And then there's some late charges. How many late charges are
Well,
on?
that's what I was gonna ask. Of course, our policy is if the bill's not paid in full at the 10th, 20% is added on there. So, she has like $350 added on for late fees.
Over how many months is that?
It's just the current bill, that it was one that was due for March.
Oh, that's just a percentage of this
Yes.
leak.
Yes.
So if we knock the sewer off,
Yeah.
how much, what'll that bring it down to roughly?
Okay, so the new bill that just printed today, the sewer on that is 604.28.
Okay.
And then you got 350 on the late fees. But she did try, I mean, she paid the minimum,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
so she paid
Her-
the minimum payment, so.
As far as I'm concerned, her credibility's not in
So
question.
that's 350, then 604 for the sewer for the new
Yeah.
bill that goes out this week.
Believe it or not, we have some people that beat us out.
Oh,
Yeah, they'll call and say, I'll be in next week or whatever.
no, I always
And then they
pay
sell-
on time.
Then they sell their house on Friday and move out and we get home with a bill.
yeah. I mean, I always pay the bill.
Oh, I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do.
And he doesn't even use that much water anyway. I mean, it's always just the minimum bill, I'm sure.
It is, I
But-
have a printout here, it's 40 gallons, 400, 170, 80, 110.
I mean, no, he don't even use that much water.
He doesn't. So if we knock the sewer off and the late fee, that'll take about, what, about 1,000 off of it?
Yeah, 604.28 and 370.78.
Okay. One of the problems I'm up against, okay, is the state of Tennessee stays on us constantly. We lose a lot of water. And they have ordered me, the city, but they pick on me, in the last 60 days to hire somebody to tell us where we're losing water and how we're gonna fix it. So the sewer thing, we can do some break. I'm not sure I can on the water. But if we knocked off that sewer and the late fee, that'll help you some.
Yeah. It's just that, like, he don't have any money at all.
Yeah.
Like, it
What-
takes all of his check to pay his house payment
Mike,
and then his electric bill was real high, so.
So I did the math here, so for the March April bill, that would bring it down to 1605.55 for 2 months.
That would be the total. right
That's
now?
total.
Yes, the total, 1605.55, and I know she'd asked for payments.
What were you gonna
Yeah.
say, Steve?
Well, that's what I was about to say, is could we, I didn't know we were gonna get the numbers right now, I was gonna ask, could we get the actual math and get the final number of after we take off the sewer and the late fee? So we're talking $1,600
$1605.55.
basically.
Oh, man, it's got $938 a month income. Right?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? I'm open for suggestions. State beats on me all the time. I can stand one more beating. So y'all wanna do something else? They hadn't beat on Dale for a while and I don't want them to.
I mean, in fairness to both the city and to obviously you, would you agree to 50% of that, the $800? Or is that too much?
Yeah, well, let me just say this, I think we've got at least one more coming in. Not as high as this, but pretty substantial, right? Over on East Main,
1,100, I think.
without calling a name, but over on East
Yeah.
Main. So we may get hit with 2 of these, but I don't want people to think that had a leak and their bill was $40 more this month, that we're gonna knock off the late fee because they didn't pay it. We're not, but we gotta be able to differentiate how we treat this case and the other case different from everybody else.
I understand.
So,
I mean,
but if you
that's my initial thought.
That's sort of mine too.
Given the situation, we've got a handicap situation and not having knowledge of the leak for an extended period of time.
I mean, if I'd have knew there was a leak, I mean, I'm down there like every other day, but I never ran into Bob or never ran, I didn't run into anybody that told me that. I just went in one day and the water was cut off and I was like, something's wrong with the water.
There's some money that maybe stretches across 3 to 4 months.
And I was gonna say, we could do a payment plan for the balance on that too.
What about if we knock it down to $800 and set it up at $200 a month, plus the regular bill, whatever that is?
Okay.
Can you live with that?
Yeah, I can pay it. I'll pay it for him, I guess.
Well, that was almost
Okay.
too easy, maybe we need to
Thank you.
bump it up there a little bit.
No, please don't.
I'm messing with you. All right, somebody make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, make sure we understand the motion. Those 2 bills will be reduced down to a total of $800 to be paid either at one time or over 4 months.
In
But the
equal
minimum, if you choose the monthly payment, there's no interest or anything, but you'll have to pay the regular bill
Okay.
each month, so it doesn't accumulate.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
But all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Good mind, I kinda thought we might have that other one here tonight. We may get that one next time. Okay. Anybody else? All right, thank y'all. Let me ask John, we got anybody out there in TV land wants to talk to us? That's good. Okay, let me make an announcement to you, and then we'll get into our reports tonight. The police are the first in line tonight. Chief Bill Laney submitted his retirement to me this morning, effective the end of his shift today. And so we talked about it. Bill served this community well. He served it a lot of years. And it's tough being, as these guys can attest to, it's tough being a police officer in a small town because you know everybody. If you get called out to go after somebody and then you look at them and say, well, I was just talking to them in the restaurant yesterday or whatever, it's tough. And it's tough being a police chief. But Bill felt like it was time, and I did also. And so he has submitted that. I'll ask you here in a minute to accept that retirement, and I'll wish Bill well in whatever future endeavors he goes into. I will say this on a personal note. When I started practicing law 44 years ago, first 2 or 3 years, you do a lot of cases that nobody else wants. And when I needed subpoena served or the defendant served or whatever, Bill Laney helped me a lot. He was a sheriff's deputy at that time. And he helped me a lot, and I never forgot that. Because when you're a young lawyer, you need that help. When you're an old lawyer, you need that help, but certainly when you're a young lawyer. And Bill did that. But he has submitted his retirement effective the end of the day, the end of his shift this afternoon. And I will tell you that, well, let's go ahead and vote if you would, to accept his retirement with thanks.
I make a motion to accept his retirement.
I'll second that.
Yeah. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, the charter says that I have the authority to make appointments, and I have appointed Assistant Chief Hinderlight to be the interim police chief I fully expect to make him the full-time police chief in a few days. Frankly, I'll just tell you, I just didn't feel comfortable doing both of them in the same day. And then maybe that's weird, but that's just the way I feel about it. So, I've talked to now Chief Hinderlight this morning. He knows what's going on, and he'll assume that, well, he has assumed the role of chief, effective with the end of Chief Laney's shift this afternoon. So, I'll let you know. I'll send out an announcement in a few days about him being full-time. And we'll go on. Police department's in pretty good shape, I think. And hope it stays that way. Biggest, no, I can't say that. I won't say that. Well, I will too. Some of the biggest complaints you can get in a small town is on the police department. And the last 2 or 3 things that I've heard on the police department have been people bragging on them. And that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. The other thing that can be a big problem, and I depend on this man right here, is when the dirty water doesn't go out the hole, there's a problem. And that's pretty tacky, but that's just the way it works. And it takes care of the sewer. And those are the biggest issues. Or if the clean water doesn't come out of the tap, you'll hear about that too. And certainly in a small town, people will call you. So anyway, as usual, I've talked too much, but I wanted to make those announcements. So who's got the report tonight, guys? You send it by any of you?
We were not given a pass-on report. We tried to get that lined up beforehand.
You mean the new chief's already let us down?
He hasn't designated his assistant chief duties yet?
Yeah, not quite. As somebody who works night shift, I found out a little later in the day about everything. So trying to be somewhat prepared, so we thought we'd at least be here. If you have any questions, we can be more than happy to answer them.
Is there anything major we need to know about? Anything unraveling, anything like that? Okay.
I have a slight increase in traffic accidents lately, that's about it. So we're gonna be doing a little bit more extra traffic enforcement to prevent that no signal spark plot. So.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you guys. Dale, you up next?
All right.
You're sitting there patiently.
I have been in contact with the contractors regarding the pump station on Commerce Avenue, and I expect them out any day now to start that project. I talked to them last week, and they were expecting to finish up what they were doing and head out here, which will be a good thing. At least on my end, it'll be a good thing. So. But other than that, I don't have anything for you guys.
Any questions, comments for Dave? All right. If everything's flowing, it's good. I'll have some comments here in a minute about our project, and a suggestion I'm going to make. Thank you, Dale. Come on up, Chief Hahn. You're last tonight, but as the good book says, the last shall be first next time. So.
Oh, good. Last month, we responded to 50 calls. 18 of those were in the city, and 32 were out in the county. Don't really have much else for you tonight. We've got a couple eyesores out by the burn pile, and one in the parking lot there, old cars, but they should be out this week. We've done some training with extrication to rescue people from cars, and we're planning to finish that up here tonight, so they'll be out of the way, but it's been extremely valuable training. We've submitted the AFG grant for the fire apparatus, and that's going good. We've heard back on the other grant that we were looking for. The details kind of came out on that, and we're going to put that off in a year. There's some data that we need to collect, and our new system that we've done our reporting in is going to help with that a lot. But that kind of gives us a year now that we know what we're looking at for it to prepare. So.
Questions, Chief Hahn? Yeah, I came in the other morning, I looked out there and I thought, it's a truck over there, it's overturned, over at the burn pile. And April and Lisa both went and looked and said, yeah, it is. So I found out I wasn't crazy. Found out y'all were practicing.
Bob called me, and I was at work, and Bob called me, and I had to think of what day it was. I said, yes, they have that tonight, it's okay. So.
Yeah. I looked, I thought, I've never seen that before. How they get over there and turn over, on flat ground. So, they're relatively flat. Any questions, comments? Everything's running smooth, I hope.
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Jeff, you got anything you need to bring? Okay.
Still cooking on April 6th, it's opening day.
Opening day?
Got the nets up, they're not quite, the ground under is not quite ready yet, but hopefully we'll take care of it this week. But
What time are we gonna start that day?
8 o'clock.
That's early.
It is.
Cold.
We're gonna be playing very popular, there'll be a middle school game there at 10 also
Okay.
that day. So,
Okay. The park will be full,
park should be full.
and that's good. The playground will be operating.
The playground stays full.
Yeah, I know.
I've never seen anything like that playground in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good deal. All right, I got a few items of business here. Some will defer, and I'll tell you why, but let me bring you up to date on our projects, and the biggest being the sewer project. And of course, it's been bid, we know what it's gonna cost, and we're getting toward the end of the 90 days that the bid is good. I mean, we're about day 55 or 59, whatever. And I've tried to keep y'all posted. I've talked to the sewer revolving loan fund people. I've talked to the USDA people. I've talked to the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund people. And just to be honest with you, this is about to overwhelm me. I've about reached the limit of what I can do. And what I'm gonna ask you tonight to do is for permission to hire a financial consultant to help us get the best long-term financing we can, the best deal. But the more pressing thing is we're gonna need some interim financing because we can't get the long-term in place. And we're gonna need some interim financing. A couple of these things I've talked to say we can do that. One other says I think we can't. So that may knock them out. The gentleman I'm talking about is named Ashley McAnulty. He works for Stevens Incorporated in Nashville. I'm very familiar with him because he and his dad have been doing this for Wilson County. His dad's now deceased, but they did this for Wilson County for about 30 years and still do. They do all our bond issues, our school bonds, all that stuff. Talked to Ashley this morning. He told me that when we got ready to do the funding, the financing, his fee would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $22,500, but it would come out of the bond issue. Now, I don't want to pay interest on that, so when the time comes, we'll pay that out of our reserves, so we don't pay interest on that. But I'd like to, I have the authority. I'm not trying to sound like I'm just telling you what the law says. You don't have to bid these specialized services, and I have the authority to hire one, but I'd like for y'all to be on board. And, you know, if you disagree, I'm not going to do it. But I think it will help. And I promised Ashley if we did that tonight, I'd get him information in the next few days so he can go to work. The contractor who got the low bid called up one day Friday and just curious about where we were. So they're anxious to go to work. We're anxious for them to go to work. I know Dale's anxious for them to go to work. So the trick here is to get them to work and to have the financing in place, at least the interim financing. USDA's got more hoops to jump through than I thought they'd have, but it can be done. Their rate is 3.75%. Oh, and let me tell you what Ashley told me today. When I called for him, he couldn't call back until later. He was actually in a bond sale for Unicoi County, and they sold $3 million worth of bonds and got a rate of 3.65%. So that's kind of where the market is right now. Everybody I've talked to says they believe the market will fall next quarter, and it may be at least next quarter, possibly longer, before we do our permanent financing. So maybe we get a break there. But anyway, I'd like for y'all to bless me making arrangements with Ashley so he can help us, tell us what we need to do.
One quick question. This consultant would be able to help us with the interim and the permanent financing?
Yes, he'll help us all the way through. And may need him too on street paving when we get to that point. So I've told him we've got 2, maybe 3 projects that I'd like for him to help us with. But all of this stuff I brought here is the stuff that I've accumulated and that's just about half of it. I left part of it on my desk, and it's getting to the point, frankly, it's interfering with my job too. I need to do some work on my paying job. So I'd like for y'all to do that if you would.
I think that's an excellent idea. We probably should have done this a month ago.
I've been thinking about that too, Steve, or longer. Yeah, back. I mean, is that a motion?
That's a motion from my part.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion? Okay. We're not gonna be out any money up front, but we will have to pay him when the time comes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, thank y'all for doing that. Now, let me update you on the other. The water grant that we got needs to be bid. Steve Jones knows that. We've talked about it, and there's some urgency to that, but that is a grant that requires a 25% match. We've got that money, so it doesn't require a borrow. We'll pay cash on that. That's a $799,000 grant. We're paying $200,000 of it. We did not get the other grant we sought, the $200,000 grant. I got that notice a couple of weeks ago that we did not get awarded that grant. So that's some work that needs to be done, but we got a lot of wheels spinning right now, so we'll probably put that off a little while. Street paving, we'll do that, but we need to get the sewer project going. No sense, as we talked about, no sense tearing up the streets or paving them and then have to tear them up again to install sewer lines. So that's a future thing, but Ashley will help us with that too. We have $1 million, or have access to $1 million. I want to put some more money with that to pave as many streets as we can, but it'll depend on what our debt service will handle. So it'll depend on that. Finally, the turntable. Told you about the meetings with TDOT and the Commissioner of Tourism. The National Guard, I believe, is going to come in with their people. I don't know exactly what they're called, but they will come in and prepare the ground, dig the hole, do all of those things. We've got to be prepared to feed them, and we've got to be prepared for whatever they take out, if it's not dirt or whatever, what they're going to do with it. That's not set in stone yet, but they're, I hope, are coming up at 10 o'clock on Monday, April 1st to look at the site. They haven't confirmed that, but I feel good about this. Now, what does that do for us? It knocks some of the expense off from site preparation. So maybe we can reduce the cost of that, which makes it not easier to raise money, but you just don't have to raise as much. This is more of a challenge. The Chrissy grant we did not get. TDOT Commissioner talked the other day. They were willing, I think, to put some money together to be the match on the Chrissy grant when we reapply. But funding that's probably next year, 2025. So a lot of things going on, a lot of balls in the air right now, a lot of moving parts. Obviously, the priorities here are sewer and water. And the next priority is street paving. The one that I think offers the best return for our future as far as bringing more money in is the turntable. But we got to get that sewer project, and we got to get the water. And once they come in here and do the sewer, we'll go to work on the streets. So that's the update. If anybody's got any questions, I'm gonna be glad to get Ashley some information so he can tell me. I think he'll move real quick. I do. I think he'll move real quick. And I told him about interim financing. He said, I can help you with that. I said, you talking my talk.
So the National Guard need to be fed, how do you know?
I don't know, we'll see what they're gonna do. I'm told it takes about a week to 10 days. And my understanding is those guys may come in on their, what is they do, 2 weeks worth of drill in the summertime? They may come in and do that here. Don't know that, but Commissioner Jerry McFarland, who's on the county, he's a county commissioner who also has ties to the Guard. In fact, he put us in touch with the top man in the National Guard in the state of Tennessee. And the next highest guy came and ate breakfast with us one morning after Cracker Barrel. And they were interested in the project, and now Jerry told me last night, because the guy that's communicating with me is a captain, Jerry tells me that's the reason it's gonna happen, because they've assigned it to somebody lower in rank to make it happen. Now, I have every reason to believe Jerry. Now, I have no idea, no personal experience with it, but it sounds good. So,
They gave it to somebody who actually does the work.
they gave it to him, right? Yeah, so he's a captain. He probably doesn't want to appreciate you saying that. Anybody got any further questions? Good question, Cal. Okay, I knew we were gonna have a lot tonight, and I apologize for that. You got your budget report, still some issues there. We're not running as strong as I had hoped, but I think we'll recover. If not, I'll have more to say on that in April. We talked about eliminating our leak adjustment policy, and we did that on first reading. I'd like for us to go ahead tonight and do that on second and final reading, but make it effective. We got bills coming out next week, right, April and Lisa?
I'm on tomorrow.
Okay, and then we'll have another round of billing about this time in April. I'd like to recommend we do away with the leak adjustment policy after the April billing. Because and I'll tell you why, I might as well go ahead and tell you why now. I haven't got locked in yet the water leak protection program. The information you sent me right after last time, I forgot it, and I finally sent them word this afternoon. So I hope they'll get me something. The other lady is getting me something, and I'll bring that back to you. And we'll put that in place if you're willing. We'll take one of those two, but I want to do away with that leak adjustment policy. And I think that'll help us with the state if I can show them that we've done that. So I'm going to ask you to approve that on second and final reading, effective after the April billing.
So would that be the May 10th billing?
It means that I'm thinking what went out today, what goes out in April, what goes out in May, the leak adjustment policy will be gone. So we got this cycle and the next cycle. Are we thinking alike? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. And I'll bring you this water leak thing back and may ask you to do something here at the end of the meeting that will come back a little quicker than April. We got hit with a director's order in the water department several years ago, a lot of money, and we appealed that. We now have, through the efforts of our city attorney, we have reached an agreement that most of that money that we would have been required to pay is going away. We will owe $662 in July 1, and they will owe $500 a month for 24 months, which comes out to what, $12,000?
Yeah.
That's what we're locked in absolutely to pay. There are some contingencies that we have to meet. Steve Casey sent me an email this afternoon asking questions about that. J.C. York sent out answers and said that we've got everything else covered, we're working on it, and while nothing's perfect, I don't think we're gonna get hit with anything else on that. So I'm gonna recommend that settlement to you because that goes to trial in April, and this will be the last meeting we have before that. So I think we've negotiated a good deal. We went from about $80,000 to $12,600. So I think we've done a good job with it.
Need a motion to make the payment?
Please, or to approve the order.
I'll make a motion to approve the order.
Yeah.
I second that we accept the settlement offer.
All right. Any other discussion, questions? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, Steve, you want to go to your food truck order?
Yeah, this has been talked about previously. And I know April's gotten some phone calls from some of the food truck vendors asking what our policy was for them to be legal to come into Watertown. And, right now we don't have anything. But I had emailed out, I think it was last week, a copy of a new ordinance, and I found some typos in it today, so April has the latest one with the corrections on the typos. But I have modeled an ordinance after what is currently in place in Sparta, Tennessee. The major changes I made was, my suggestion is we get a food truck ordinance where you have to fill out an application, who you are, where you're from. Your truck basically has to have a health inspection, either from our fire department or from the fire department where you're based. You have to provide proof of that. And it basically lets us know who you are and where you're coming from, so if there's any kind of problem, we know who to follow up with. And the fees that I've recommended, if you want a 30-day permit, would be $50 for 30 days. Or, let me make sure I get to the right spot so I don't misquote anything. $200 for a 180-day permit, or $350 for a 365-day permit. And this is very commonplace. Alexandria has a policy, and they're smaller than we are. Obviously, Lebanon has one, Mount Juliet has one. Mount Juliet's been in the news lately because they went a little overboard with theirs. But like I said, I wanted to bring this tonight and in form of a motion with first reading that we consider adopting this food truck ordinance. And it would be, the other big item is it would be in, it states that one special events, which basically would be our annual yard sales, would not be subject to this.
But no more than 2 times a year.
No more than 2 times a year, yeah. So that would be the annual yard sale where the food trucks could come in and they wouldn't be subject to this. There's some language in there about you can't be on a sidewalk, you can't be blocking a sidewalk or a public street. And if you break these guidelines, the code enforcement officer has the ability to pull your permit to where, you're not welcome to operate in Watertown if you're not going to play by the rules. When you're in front of a business, you've got to basically have permission from that business owner for the employees of the food truck to have access to a restroom. And you have to, there's some limitations on the hours. The details were in the fine print of what I sent out. And, like I said, I think this is where we need to be. We've seen an increase. We've had a hibachi truck that's been coming to the, over here at the Vets parking lot. We got a barbecue truck that comes regularly to Dollar General. We've got a baked good sandwich truck that is at Bond Construction on a regular basis. And we have food trucks, and I didn't realize this till Laura mentioned it last month. We have food trucks that come up to the high school, I think 1 or 2 days a week. So there's a lot of activity here, and we've got people preparing food and competing with what few restaurants we have, and we're getting absolutely no revenue off of them. At least this would be a little something. This is less than what they would normally pay in sales tax, I think. But also it gives us the ability that we know who's serving food. If we have an issue, if we have an issue with some bad food and people getting sick, at least we know who it came from, and we have a contact information as to how we can follow up on those situations when or if. I hope they never occur, but we need to know who these people are and have a way to follow up with them as needed, and at least give them some guidelines that keeps them from just, I don't know how you would run a food truck. I mean, we've had them down here at the Shippers gravel parking lot, and they're there all day, and there's no restroom facilities there. So that, to me, that's, I guess they're getting in their vehicles and going somewhere, but that's why we need to have something in place that regulates them so they can't just set up on the side of the road and potentially cause a traffic issue or other problems. Trying to get ahead of the curve is all I'm doing here. So that's,
Right now, we don't have anything people can set up anywhere at any time, so this will offer some, at least structure. I don't think it'll stop anybody. It's not designed to stop anybody. It's designed, as you said, made more to me, it's an issue of fairness to the people that have made an investment in their restaurant, and somebody pull up and
yeah, exactly. My intent with this is, like I said, is not, first off, I mean, we're not trying to run anybody. We're not doing what Mountain Juliet did, where you're charging them, I think it was $100 a day or something, or whatever, actually some exorbitant amount, which they went to court over. But this is in line just to have some guidelines in place and some rules that you need to follow. And, you know, we welcome you here, but, you know, we've got to have it in a controlled manner. And where we make sure that the sanitation situations are addressed, and we know who these people are.
All right.
Like, I have a question on that. So on train days, when we have like vendors set up on sidewalks or in the middle of the square, we also bring in 2 food trucks every time that we have a train day. And that's something the chamber is managed up until now, right? The chamber brings in the food trucks. They pay the chamber vendor fee, and you get their health certificate and stuff. We have that on file. So how would that affect those food trucks?
As I understand it, and I read through this afternoon, on those special events, you can bring them in up to twice a year.
Okay.
At no, and whatever
And that's
deal
just
you
the
strike
yard
with them.
sale. So on
Yeah, that's
regular
just a
train
yard
days-
sale.
Yeah.
So regular train days, because there's not enough restaurants for 500 people to come eat at.
Yeah.
So in the past, we have allowed up to 2 food trucks just during those train days that are kind of set up in and around the square.
Well, I don't, you wanna?
We can't have more than 2 on those. I mean, if we have more than 2 on those train days, it's too much.
No, we're not talking about 2.
We're not talking about 2
We're talking
food
about
trucks.
2 events
Right.
a year, so you'd have 20 on a particular
On
day.
those days, but
it
on
can't-
other days.
Yeah, but it can't be the same one coming in there 10 times to escape the
Right.
fee.
Yeah.
So what do we do about that? That's my question, and that's my concern, is that we have to have food trucks on those days, and it has to be somehow managed. It can't just be what food truck decides on their own to come in. Those days has to be managed, because we can't overwhelm we can't take that much revenue away from the restaurants that are currently serving, but there has to be options. So that has to be managed somehow on those specific train days.
Yeah, I don't think we're trying to limit that at all. It's the question is, and if they're coming in more than 2 times a year, they're pretty much on a regular basis. They need to pay.
Yes, well, right now they're paying the chamber. They're paying the chamber's
If they're paying you on a per day charge.
Correct.
They can get a yearly fee, a yearly permit for $350.
Who manages them coming in? So
Well,
we can't
it-
have 6 food trucks on a train day Saturday. And the food trucks know that those Saturdays are when they want to try to come in, because we have the additional 500 people.
But when you say we can't have that, what do you mean?
So if you have 5 food trucks come in on April, whatever the next train
Yeah.
is, we have 5 food trucks here, the restaurants are highly affected.
Oh,
So
sure.
we have found that limiting it to a maximum of 2 on those train days keeps the restaurants happy, but gives just enough places for our guests to eat.
You're talking about limited to only having 2 in town that day.
Correct.
Who's limited now
I
on any Saturday?
am, the chamber, is
The
doing
chamber's
on train days. And so right now, food trucks can't set up on the square. They can't set up until this point, they have not been able to set up on public property. It's always been like in other people's parking lots, private property where like Bond can control it or, Moses can control it. But there are no food trucks currently coming in and setting up on the square without, up until now, it's just been through chamber and only on those special occasions.
This is before us tonight on first reading. I'm guessing, Steve, we can probably make some changes to that too.
I was gonna
Between
say,
first
let
and
me,
second reading, but
I hadn't considered this, well, to be honest with you, I wasn't aware of what the chamber's guidelines were on your special days. Let me work on changing the language.
let's approve it tonight on first reading. It'll be the second reading for, and then we'll work on that.
We'll make an adjustment to paragraph 909, which is special
Yeah.
event exemptions.
Yeah, we've only got 4 wet restaurants in Watertown.
Yeah.
We need the food trucks.
We need
People like me that, it's nobody cooking for me, I cook for myself, and I use them. And I'm a farmer myself.
I had some doggone good ribs Sunday night.
Yeah, it's some good food, and I'm not in favor of running them out.
Well,
And I don't care what you say.
No, we won't run them out.
Yeah,
That's fine.
if you start charging, you're gonna start running them out. They're
if-
here to make a dollar, just like everybody else.
okay.
And what we need to do is try to get some restaurants in here where you don't have to have food trucks. You agree, Mike?
Oh, I agree 100%, but
I know how you're gonna do it, but that's what we need.
well, I know, but I'll tell you, when I go to Las Vegas every May, I talk to these people.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, you get a Sonic, I have people stop me and say, won't you get a Sonic here? So here's why. It used to be a $250,000 base fee, and then you pay 1/4 or 1% of everything you sell goes to it. Now, you gotta sell a lot of hamburgers just to cover $250,000. Fee, you ain't got a building, you ain't got your labor.
But
And so
franchises also.
it's hard.
Yeah, and the franchises also have the requirement within a radius of so many miles, you gotta have 400,000 people. And we don't have that, you know, or whatever, there's some, within a certain radius, you gotta have.
They'll tell you that too.
And-
The only one that seems to go everywhere they want to is Dollar General.
Mike, and there's, here, one thing else to think about. If you are granting permission, are you granting permission for a day? Or is that $350 grant them permission to park next to?
For a year.
Bond construction down here and not move?
Yeah. If it's a mobile food truck
No.
now, yeah.
There's guidelines in here about the fact that it cannot stay overnight. There are operation hours are stated in this.
And just so you know, the county gives you a permit for longer than that. And if you have that county permit, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty, that you can set up anywhere with the county permit for as long as you want. Because they have to get that we used to do it here for yard sale. Because it was too, they somehow we managed to get around it, but with the county, if you have a county permit, they inspect, and then that's good for multiple days. And so, does one supersede the other if you have a county?
I'd like to check into the county thing. I don't doubt you, I just didn't
I
realize.
don't know, somebody told me that
Yeah.
their county permit supersedes, so they can set up for multiple days. But I don't know that it would supersede the city, I don't know that, I don't know. But I know the county health department issues that permit if you're gonna be there longer than a day.
That's
And
just
if
a
you-
health permit.
But if you get, but you can get an annual health permit.
That's
Well,
just a health.
that's just the health permit. This is
Still
an
have to
operational
pay- They
permit.
still have to pay in each city.
Yeah.
That they set up in. And currently, if they sign up through the chamber, they're paying $100 fee.
Yeah.
And they're fine.
Yeah, and that's
They come in on a train Saturday and they're making way
more than $100, yeah.
So just keep that in mind. That's
And-
$100 per food truck.
And the
on
purpose,
Saturday.
to address Hal's concern, the purpose is not to run anybody off or anything, but folks,
You need to make money off of it.
if they set up down here on the square or on the street and somebody gets hurt there buying food, we're gonna get sued because it's on our property. And we don't have any protection from that. And we need to think about that.
But they're not setting up on the square, they're setting up on private property, like
Some of them
bonds.
are setting up, you just said you set up on the square.
Well,
Yeah, so the ones.
I mean, the
on
ones he's
special-
talking
but
about.
that's a
They have to
special
provide
event.
their health, they have to provide their, health
Proof of
health
insurance.
department to us and also proof of insurance. So that's, the chamber requires that from those food trucks. They
And
have to-
that's
They have to
wise.
supply those.
That's wise. Okay, I'm still gonna recommend we do it on first reading and then address these questions before the second reading. And we don't necessarily have to do it in April, but we need to address, I think we can, I mean, let's face it, folks. If Sparta's doing it and Alexandria's doing it, Watertown can do it.
Well, yeah, wasn't your phone call the other day from someone who had been in Alexandria and was asking what our policy was? Yeah.
They expect it. Some of them do. Yeah.
The reputable ones are expecting it, because they're calling and asking about it.
All right. If y'all don't want to do it tonight on first reading, that's up to you. But
I'll make a motion to approve it with the revisions we've spoke about.
yeah, not to consider it on second reading until we get some revisions. All right.
I'll make a second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Understand, we're doing it on first reading, but we know there's some revisions got to be made, and they won't be brought back until we make those revisions and perhaps get input from the chamber as well. We don't want to get into y'all have got limited ways of raising funds as well, and I recognize that, so.
I think as long as us or the city is making the revenue off of the food trucks, that's what's necessary.
Okay. Questions, comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ayes and 1 no. Okay. So we've done first reading. One other item I should have mentioned a while ago. We did the urban growth boundary thing where we had to debate here, and we wound up not changing ours at all. The final map with the county and the 3 cities goes in front of the local government planning advisory committee tomorrow in Nashville, and I assume that if they approve that, that process is over and can't occur again for 3 years. So, but it doesn't require any action. Just want to bring you up to date. Next meeting date would be April 16th at 6 o'clock. Jeff's already mentioned opening day for the community league. We talked about the train this Saturday and the next Saturday, isn't it? Randy, it's coming in twice?
Yes.
23rd, no, yeah, 23rd and 30th.
Yes.
Easter Bunny, yeah. Somebody doing something over here is the chamber doing the Easter egg hunt on the 30th?
On the 30th.
That's a great day.
Yeah. The train will have one separately, and we'll have ours on.
That's a great day. All great Americans is born on March 30th. What time is it? Well, I was mouthing.
3 o'clock.
Okay. Kind of like you did last year and divided up. A lot of kids in this park then. It's a good thing.
10,000 Easter eggs.
Yep. Okay, mentioned a while ago, and we'll go around the table here, but when we get to the end, I'm gonna ask you to recess tonight instead of adjourn. If, Ashley gets us something together pretty quick, I wanna get us back together and get that done so we can get Conrad Construction digging holes. So, and if it doesn't get done, we'll meet at a regular time in April, but, all right. Miss April?
Yeah, so there's a pole in front of my house that has another pole leaning up against it. And it's been 13 months ago that this happened. And God bless April, she has been
I've
a
tried.
warrior over there.
I've tried.
She has been contacting people. I've tried to contact, I think it's AT&T lines that are still on there.
Yeah, lines are still on the poles, no one will touch it.
Who the polls belong to?
Middle Tennessee Electric.
Middle Tennessee Electric. They don't want to do anything because AT&T is on.
And they came out immediately and changed out that pole the day it was hit. But I just cannot get anybody else out there to remove their lines, and I've made calls like crazy. I don't know what else to do. I don't know who to call. Right? Yeah, I don't know what else to do. I've contacted AT&T.
Do we have an AT&T contact? But it's not their pole. It's Middle Tennessee Electric's pole.
Yeah, but it probably has based on fiber on it, and you don't.
Yeah, so,
Someone
yeah.
else's fiber.
Whenever, Middle Tennessee Electric came up, whenever they was looking at the cameras to put up, and we sent them people over there, and they said that they could remove it, but the line was still attached, so they couldn't do it. Of course, Bob had some options.
None of which are.
We know what Bob's up there.
I'm not
Not a chainsaw, no.
Can't touch someone else's fiber, it's,
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's kind of possible to get in touch with AT&T.
Mike, Pete Christian works for AT&T, I believe, still.
Who does?
Pete Christian, you know. Christensen.
Are you talking about Andy and Derek?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're
I can get you in touch with them.
brother.
Yeah, all right,
He, like I said, he works for AT&T, he'd be the
all right. See what you can do, Kyle, if you
I'll ask
know.
him.
And let's get April some relief. You have been talking about that for a while.
Huh?
You have been talking about that for a while. Okay. We'll see if Kyle can get it done.
Blessing.
Yeah.
That would be.
What else you got?
That's
Yeah.
it.
Caleb?
Yeah, I was asked by two different business owners on the square if we could repaint the arrows. They said that
Yeah, it's time. They
it's
put
a
it,
daily occurrence. They said that people are going backwards. So,
we need to repaint the parking space too, spruce it up.
yeah, they just asked the arrows specifically. But, and then the other thing is I had a few people, my neighbors on this main, asking if we had do we have a noise ordinance as far as like vehicles go, like mufflers, sound?
We do have some of those on the books, yeah.
Okay.
They get cited in the city court here.
Wish we did.
Okay.
And on East Main, I've actually written my court tickets now for some vehicles on East Main Street.
Yeah.
Driving through the square.
I live right where Waters comes out, and it seems like every night there's like at least 7 or 8 trucks or cars going up through there. They're
What time of night you talking, Kelly?
all through the night.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I've gotten them at 2 a.m., I've gotten them at 7 p.m. There's a couple of people that live in the city that have like either cut off their exhaust or slowly but surely like catching up to them, because a lot of times we're busy when we hear them, or they don't stomp the gas when we're around, so we don't know that it's, modified muffler or exhaust. But essentially our ordinance mimics this TCA, the state law for it, where it cannot be any loud, excessive noise or excessive smoke. It must be working in a proper fashion or proper order. So if it's anything that even causes you to turn your head, technically it's a violation of the ordinance or the TCA. So if you see the vehicles, and especially consistent ones that keep coming through, feel more welcome to leave us, vehicle description, whatever, we can use to track them down.
Okay.
And I know for a fact I've heard quite a few on East Main because they keep that straightaway, they stomp it and keep going down, so.
All right, I just wanted to check if we had one.
If y'all will take care of that, and I'll talk to Mr. Morgan about painting the,
Okay, thank you.
I'll tell him to stand back. The joke. He'll do it. By the way, Haley, when I slid around, I didn't even know you were back there. You just been too quiet. Kyle?
We're trying to get the 4.5 is what we're trying to get, or, because what's our one amount we're trying to achieve?
Depends on what the terms are and the repayment schedule. I would love to do it all, but practically it may not be.
So we have to have 4.
We gotta do the 4.1 million. The 1.3, and we're using round numbers,
Yeah.
but the 1.3 is a
Alternate.
alternate, and we may have to cut that out.
All right.
Doesn't mean it doesn't need to be done, it just means
Just
we can't
can't do
afford
it
it.
right now.
Yeah.
All right, that's all.
Is that it? Steve?
I want to bring this up again. This was briefly discussed last year, but we got budget season coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're going to have some changes with all these projects, but I still think, and what reminded me of this was the retirement of the chief today. We would need to make a serious consideration to some type of retirement plan for our employees.
I don't disagree.
And to me, the easiest, we've talked to Wilson Bank and Trust about this. They've got one plan where it's like up to a 3% match, and one plan where it's just a straight out 2% contribution, and the employee puts in as much as they want to within the IRS guidelines. And I think we need to seriously consider the flat 2% contribution plan because we can budget for that, because we know what our payroll is, therefore we'll know what the 2% is. Whereas if we go to the other one, the 3% match can change depending upon what the employees do. It can be a variable number. But I would like for that to be given some serious consideration this
It will
year
be.
in our budget planning.
It will be. And Chief Hinderlight gave me some stuff 2 months ago, and I asked him to hold off on it till we got started talking about the budget, because I knew we couldn't do it in the middle of the year.
Well,
So I've got that stuff. It's not in that stack, but I've got it.
so I wanted to bring it up, like I said, the retirement reminded me, I want to bring it up because I know I'm going to miss the the May meeting because I will be out of town on business.
We won't do a budget until June, and probably both readings in June. Y'all know how I am with, I push. You're married to a lawyer, you know how we work. They give us a deadline and we work back
Yeah.
from it, not toward it.
Well, that's another reason I was bringing it up early because like I said, I wanted to, if we can, get that in.
I'd like to do that too. And as I've stated many times here, that's one of my biggest regrets, that we hadn't been able to do something up to now. And, we'll see. That'll be a goal. Now, it may limit the amount of raises we can give, but, you know, it's one of those pay me now or pay me later type things. Anything else? Al?
I don't have anything, but I want to comment on the blue lights flickering. They got them cut off, and I've had several comments on it, they're glad they're gone. They're not against the.
They're
camera,
not flashing?
Not flashing.
You know, I hadn't even noticed them.
I've had several comments that they was glad that we cut the flashing part off.
You know, y'all have heard me tell this story before, and I know you get tired of these stories, but people would call me and say, Mayor, you know, we got a stop sign down over such and such. Well, I don't ever pay attention. I just know I've been stopping there for 50 years. So I don't pay attention to the sign. I know to stop there. But sure enough, I'll go look and say, yeah, stop sign's down. So I didn't know that. I'll look at them tonight. Shows you how observant I am. What else you got, bud? You got that vest on. I'm surprised you ain't got something red on. Won't be long, will it? Anybody else got anything? John, we good? Nobody out in TV land?
No.
That's good. Anybody? All right, appreciate y'all being here. Glad to have you in Watertown. I told you that before, but. And I have left directions here. It's been a standing thing for years, but I've left directions. If you got it, we buy it there. Same way with anything in Watertown.
Appreciate it.
No sense going down the road to Lebanon when we can buy it here.
We have a good time with Bob and Buck and Eric. We stand around and talk all the time.
Yeah, when they come in there and get what they need, send them out now. Don't let them hang around. Don't let them lauder, all right?
Right.
They what? Oh, they do. And it's a very nice store. Very nice. Everything right through there, the event center and all of that. Wish something would go in the old hardware store. Anything working on that, Jeff?
We were talking the other
People have been
night.
asking about it this last 2 weeks. I've got multiple phone calls about people wanting to know how to get in touch with them and what they can do.
Okay. Yeah.
We were joking the other night with the Mexican restaurant and the new restaurant coming in and brand event center and all that. Like, we're gonna start naming ourselves the East End.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, we got our little East End thing going on now.
Bruce Mott still owns the old hardware?
No.
Who owns
John
it?
Fouch.
Who?
John Fouch.
Okay.
Is there anybody in the old sweet shop? You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Is there anything in there?
Is that the little shop next to where the event center is?
Yeah, right.
That's Jack Pratt's building, isn't
Jack
it?
Pratt, he doesn't
Yeah.
It's
use
not,
it.
not anything?
No, I've tried to get him to lease it to me like 100 times over the last 6 months.
I think his wife uses that for some kind of office every now and
Used
then.
to be a little, we call it sweet shop.
I've been trying to get a response from, what's her name, the head on the opposite building.
Lenore will never come off of that building till she's gone.
She
She won't. She
has
won't.
no interest to do.
I tried, and she's one of my better friends, and she wouldn't even let me have it.
All right, folks, we've had one of our longer meetings. Unless y'all just want to stay, let's go home. Somebody make a motion.
Wait a minute.
Recess, yes, thank you. Been motion to recess.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.